day. Good afternoon, I'm Olubumi Obajemi with Global News. In the news, federal government announces end of fuel subsidy era. U.S. court convicts former Bolivian minister of complicity in money laundering. Heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua returns to ring in April.
This is the news.
The federal government says it will stop the payment of fuel subsidy by the end of June 2023. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, disclosed this during the public presentation of 2023 federal government budget. She said the plan will help shore up federal government's revenue. Mrs. Zainab disclosed that in the 2023 fiscal period, the government has made provisions of 3.36 trillion naira for full subsidy payment to cover the first 6 months of this year. This, she stated, is in line with the 18-month extension announced in early 2022. The rebel group M23 has announced its withdrawal from a strategic military base that it captured in October 2022 in Morangabo area in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. In a statement, the group says it will hand over the camp on Thursday to the East African Regional Force. The handover of the Morangabo military camp comes 12 days after the rebels withdrew from Kimbuma town. Last month, the group announced its plan to withdraw from captured territories as a goodwill gesture, in line with the agreements of a regional leaders summit in the Angolan capital, Luanda, in November. Kenyan President William Ruto says the country will not default on its debt in the face of severe economic challenges. Ruto told journalists that Kenya had applied the brakes on any more borrowing. The president had promised to cut expensive commercial borrowing in favor of cheaper sources such as the world. Ruto made this promise when he assumed office last year, September. A federal court in the United States has sentenced former Bolivian Interior Minister Arturo Murillo to 6 years behind bars for conspiracy to commit money laundering. In October, Murillo pleaded guilty to receiving at least $532,000 in bribe from a Florida-based company in exchange for helping it secure a lucrative tear gas contract with Bolivia's defense ministry. In a statement, the U.S. Department of Justice says Murillo laundered the money through the U.S. financial system. The department says another former Bolivian officials and 3 Americans were sentenced in the U.S. last June after they also pleaded guilty to roles in the same scheme. You're on to Global News from Adabai 8.9 FM, Akure, transmitting from Alaramoki. After the break, heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua returns to ring in April. Details in the second part of the bulletin. Please join us again.
The news on Adaba 88.9 FM.
Thanks for staying tuned. For news update and live streaming, visit our website www.adabai889.fm or download Adabai FM app on Google Play Store. You can be part of us on our social media platforms www.facebook.com/AdabaFM 88.9 on Facebook, at Adabai 889 FM on Instagram, and Adabai FM TV on YouTube. To provide us information via email, newsstream at adabai889.fm. California authority says evacuation and advisories are in place in parts of northern as major storm crashes into the coast. Classes have been cancelled for Thursday in school districts throughout Northern California including 4 of the 8,000 pupils enrolled in San Francisco public schools. Officials have also ordered residents living near burnt scars from previous foreign fires to leave the area. In a statement, Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency for the major storm. He said his order would allow the state to respond quickly as the storm develops and support local officials in their ongoing response. Ukraine's Western allies have moved towards supplying armored fighting vehicles to Ukrainian troops. On Wednesday, French President Emmanuel Macron told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that his government will send French-made light MX-10 LC armored combat vehicles to help Ukraine's defense effort. The official said this is the first time that Western-made armored vehicles are being delivered in support of the Ukrainian army. However, he did not give details about the volume or timing of a planned shipment, saying talks will continue regarding the potential delivery of other French military vehicle types. Hours later, United States President Joe Biden said Washington is considering sending Bradley fighting vehicles to Ukraine. European Union officials have urged all member states to insist on negative COVID tests from Chinese arrivals before they travel. Report has it that some EU countries had recommended testing, despite early advice that it was unjustified. This comes a day after the European Commission, the executive body of the European Union, said that an overwhelming number of member states favored restrictions on Chinese arrivals. France, Spain and Italy have already introduced testing, but others such as Germany had been monitoring the situation. England, outside the EU, requires pre-flight testing on China arrivals from Thursday. China has announced it will open its border with Hong Kong on Sunday. Report has it that the latest development will end the 3 years of pandemic restrictions that have isolated the financial hub from the Chinese mainland. The Chinese announcement comes after Beijing says it will reopen its international borders and scrap mandatory quarantine from January the 8th. In a statement, China's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office says Hong Kong residents traveling to the Chinese mainland will no longer have to quarantine or undergo a COVID-19 test after they arrive. Visitors will still have to provide a negative result from a COVID test taken within 48 hours before traveling and complete a health declaration. Pallbearers have moved the Cyprus coffin of Pope Benedict back into St. Peter's Basilica for a private service. This comes after the public funeral mass end. Benedict will be buried in a vast underground graveyard or crypt beneath the basilica known as the Vatican Grottos, which houses the tombs of several popes. Almost 100,000 people had paid homage to former Pope Benedict XVI during his line in state over the last 3 days. Pope Francis is seen to preside over the funeral, the first time a sitting pope has led his predecessor's funeral in over 220 years. The former pope died on New Year's Eve at the age of 95, almost a decade after standing down because of ill health. Now to sports. Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Earn, has confirmed that the former two-time unified heavyweight champ is expected to return to the ring early April. The bull will launch an active year that is expected to end with a long-in-demand super fight with a fellow former title holder. Joshua wants to return to the ring with a top 15 guy. Then, in the summer probably versus Dillian White, and then a mega fight with Deontay Wilder. The plan now is to rebuild him to become a 3-time heavyweight world champion. To end global news, a recap of our top stories. The federal government says it will stop the payment of fuel subsidy by the end of June 2023. A federal court in the United States has sentenced former Bolivian Interior Minister Arturo Murillo to 6 years behind bars for conspiracy to commit money laundering. Anthony Joshua's promoter, Edin Hearn, has confirmed that the former two-time unified heavyweight champ is expected to return to the ring early April. That Global News is edited by Olabisi Olaniyi Oluwasegun. I am Olubumi Obajemihi. Thank you for spending your time with us. Good afternoon.
Wait. Remember our guy, Femo. What a character.